Yo. Top of the morning to the gambling gang, man. It's another episode, another edition of Cashed It with Chris, the NBA betting show slash podcast where you guys can get all, the best lines, man. If they're applicable, right? We get some CLV on the show. As always, the podcast is presented to you guys by the Basketball Forever Podcast Network. Be sure to check them out. Follow them on Instagram. They also have a Twitter page as well. And hit the like button for me. Retweet the show if you guys can. And let's go ahead and get into the action, man. So yesterday, as we always do on Friday, well, every day, we start off with one more thing I want to mention. I want to mention the podcast. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I talked about this the other day. I'm gonna keep making sure I say it. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the show is available via all your podcast uh, downloading platforms. So Spotify, uh, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, wherever you download your podcast. So if you don't want to watch it on YouTube, you guys can just get the audio version, kind of plug it in, listen while you're at work. So check it out. Leave me a review over there as well, man. I appreciate that. And let's get into it. Like I said, hit the like button for me. Good morning to the people in the chat. JR always here. KC, what up, DJ? Jew, Bitsy, what up, Aunt? Roberto. Let's get some cash today, man. Let's get some cash for sure. See if we can find some spots that we like and cash some tickets as always. It's always the goal, man. So let's get into it. I got a lot more injury news. I talked about it on the Crispy Cap and NBA show yesterday, but a lot of injury news that affects some of these games. So I'll give you guys what I got in some of these games. Haven't capped any player props at all so far, but have kind of looked at a side. Really excited about this slate as well. It's what 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 games today, and it's some really interesting games. I know we've been seeing a lot of blowouts, and I'm not saying that it won't be blowouts today, but I do think we're in for a treat. I think we get some really good basketball games. I referenced it just a tad bit yesterday, but you got some playoff revenge angles for sure. With the Phoenix Suns and the New Orleans Pelicans and the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Utah Jazz. But let's get into it, man. I got a couple of these games I've broken down already, and then a couple that I'm just kind of waiting on injury news for that has significant impact in those games. So I'm gonna go through. Let's see. So first game up, I'm actually interested in this game. You get this Toronto Raptors team coming off the big win against the shorthanded Los Angeles Lakers on Wednesday, uh, facing going to Orlando. So Orlando, this is a quick turnaround for them. In two aspects. First, they played on Wednesday as well. They covered that game and won that game outright against the Clippers. This team, I keep alluding to it. They're not a significantly bad team. They're a young team, of course, and with being a young team, you're gonna have some growing pains, but they played extremely hard, man. Whether they get down by 20 in the first quarter and they just can't make shots because they are offensively challenged, especially without having all those guards in. But this team just continues to play hard. The magic number, it really isn't a magic number, but what I have written down is that the and the Raptors, you get them. I think it's important to mention as well. I hope the spread continues to rise. I see Toronto opened at 7-point favorites, is now up to 8 on some books, 7.5 as well. Total in this one went from 220.5 up to 220 one at some places, 220 to 19.5. So it's gone down, it's gone up. People just don't know what to do. I wouldn't touch the total. These two teams did just play each other last week. It was on Saturday. So it's a quick turnaround as far as a revenge spot for the Orlando Magic. And I talk about it all the time. This Magic team at home against a team where they land, when they're a big home dog, they typically cover. I think they are. I had it written down somewhere. I don't see it in my notes. But this Orlando team is, I want to say, quote me on 6-1 against the spread as a home dog catching, just a home dog in general. When they're catching more than 7.5 points, I think they're 5-1, and they've won 4 of those games outright. You just get a win against the Clippers. I know that they beat the Dallas Mavericks outright. They beat the Phoenix Suns outright. So, to me, it's a tad bit. I wouldn't be laying the 8 points with Toronto, even though they did look good in that last game, because it's a change of environment. Toronto always looks good at home. They always play better at home. But on the road, they're a totally different version of themselves that, we're not accustomed to seeing all the time. And it could be a tad bit shocking, but that's just the way that works, man. That's just that's just the way that works. The other thing that's interesting to note is that the Toronto Raptors, when they're playing an opponent that has a 50% win percentage or better, they're just 2-5-1 against the spread, 2-4 straight up. So they don't get up for these competitive games. We kind of saw it last week when Toronto was playing against the New Orleans Pelicans and they were extremely shorthanded without CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram. So I'll be looking to back Orlando. Haven't pulled the trigger. I think that the line probably continues to move in the Raptors' favor. More money comes in on the Raptors. Maybe you take the Magic late in this spot. But that's what I got for you guys there. Also, Otto Porter Jr. still remains out for the Toronto Raptors in this one as well. So that's what I got for you guys in that one. Moving along, I wanted to touch a little bit on. So the Wizards and the Pacers game, I have the Hawks and the Nets on the screen. But the Wizards and Pacers game, extremely difficult game to cap. I don't think that you can cap it completely right now just because of the injury news. So it's not like I wanted to skip over this game. We just need more information. Spread opened at 4. It's moved to 5 in favor of the Pacers. This is the Pacers' first game back home after that long 7-game road trip. So I wouldn't be looking to back them in this spot. The Wizards could potentially be shorthanded in this one. Total at 232. So the books are expecting a lot of points, but Isaiah Jackson's listed as questionable. He makes a tremendous impact for this Pacers team on the inside, and equally so, or maybe even more of a presence is Miles Turner. Games typically fly over when Miles Turner isn't available. Both of those guys are listed as questionable. I think Miles Turner is a hamstring. And I want to say Isaiah Jackson was listed as questionable, but I want to say I saw him also not on the injury report. So he may be back. I'm not 100% sure. But what I have in my notes is that he's listed as questionable. Will Barton on the other side for the Wizards is listed as questionable, and Porzingis is also listed as questionable. We know that Bradley Beal won't be there because of a hamstring injury. So not really looking to play that game until I find out, some news about those 4 players specifically. So not really skipping over that game, but like I said, just we're missing too much to to really get into it. So the Knicks and the Hornets, not a game that I'm really looking to. I don't like backing the Knicks as an away favorite. They're laying 4 points in this one. Let's see. They are laying 4 points, total at 224. I kind of skipped this game. Didn't really have anything. I think PJ Washington is supposed to return. Kelly Oubre's been balling. Not a game I'm really interested in. Knicks are coming off 2 straight home wins, impressive home wins against the Cleveland Cavaliers on Sunday. And then they also beat the Atlanta Hawks on Wednesday as well. So now they're going to take this show on the road, try to cover a 4-point spread. Hornets are a lot better at home, especially when they're home dogs. So not anything official in this one. Moving along, though, to the game that's on the screen, this Hawks and the Nets game. This is an interesting game. Total at 228. The books are anticipating the Hawks to the Nets to win this game by 7.5 is what they have the line set at. Trae Young is not on the injury report, but DeJounte's out for this game. Ben Simmons is also supposed to make his return. So this is going to be the second of a 2-game road trip for the Atlanta Hawks after the loss in the Garden on Wednesday. For the Nets, this will be their 7th straight home game. 7 straight home games for the Brooklyn Nets. They won 5 of the last 6 at the crib, with the only loss coming against the Boston Celtics on last Sunday, but they've only covered 2. They have 3 non-covers and 1 push against the Wizards in that time frame. So, it's a big number. It's a really, really big number. On the opposite side, though, you do look at this version of the Atlanta Hawks, and you could say use the injured player theory, right? Maybe DeJounte not being there kind of ignites the rest of the guys, but they're already shorthanded, right? They're already without Hunter. They're already without Collins. I don't think he's going to make his return today. Don't quote me on that. But looking at this Nets team, they are just 2-4 against the spread as a home favorite when they're needing to cover by 7.5 points. With the 2 most recent games being non-covers against the Hornets and the Magic, right? So Nets first half is something that I was looking at. Big number. You typically want to get in and get out if the trends kind of back the first half. The Nets are 6-4 ATS first half at home this season, and the Hawks, they're 3-7 against the spread in the first half on the road. It's a spot that we used to kind of back the Knicks the other day when we took the Knicks first half plus the minus the 0.5. Atlanta just typically gets out to slow start. So maybe if Atlanta has something, they do kind of leave it all on the floor in the beginning of the game, and then the Brooklyn Nets kind of take care of business in the second half. I kind of see it going both ways, so I didn't play either one. I will say that the Hawks, they are just 6-20 against the spread in their last 26 road games versus a team with a win percentage of 60% or better. So they typically don't beat the upper echelon teams on the road specifically. The Hawks are also just 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 meetings in Brooklyn specifically. They've also lost 3 straight as an away dog, and all 3 of those games that they lost, they didn't cover. They lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers, playoff team. They lost to the Philadelphia 76ers in Philly, playoff team. They lost against the Knicks. Yeah, I don't know if I want to say playoff team to the Knicks, but they lost to the Knicks, didn't cover, right? And a big part of it is their offense. The Atlanta Hawks, they ranked 23rd offensively over the last 5 games. You look at, just their point totals, they are really, really struggling to score the ball. And I want to talk about that when I touch on the under. So the total in this game is 228. The Nets are 8-4 to the under as a home favorite so far this season. So they typically play a little bit better defense, when they're at home. 8-4 to the under. That's a pretty good hit rate. They're also 7-2 to the under against the Eastern Conference specifically. The Hawks, they're 3-0 to the under in their most recent games as an away dog. They've, like I kind of talked about, they just really struggle to score. They scored 102 points against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Cleveland Cavaliers do have the best defensive rating at home specifically. I think it's a defensive rating of like 98.4. No other team has a better defensive rating at home. They scored just 102 points when they went to Cleveland. They scored 101 in Philly, and they scored 89 to the Knicks. So, their offense is kind of struggling, and it makes sense, without having, those key guys out. They do get Bogdanovich back. He played terrible in the game against the Knicks the other day. I think he shot just 1 for 13, 0 for 10 from 3. So he's due to kind of regress. But does it necessarily come in his third game back? Because he did play well in his first game back. I'm not 100% sure on that. So, the Holiday brothers will have to step up in this one, especially without DeJounte Murray. One of them probably will get the start. I would imagine that Coach Nate McMillan will probably continue to play Bogdanovich off the bench because without him off the bench, they are pretty depleted in that spot too. So that's my notes on that one, man. I guess what you guys are hearing is maybe Nets first half, maybe the under 228 because, like I said, the Atlanta Hawks have been struggling to score. The Nets typically play, some pretty good defense as well. I feel like there were a few more trends I wanted to share in that game as well. Let's see. So Atlanta 5-1 in their last 6 games following an ATS loss. They're 4-1. The Hawks are 4-1 in their last 5 following a straight up loss. They're also 13-4 in their last 17 road games versus a team with a winning home record, which to me indicates that they can't score when they go on the road. The Brooklyn side, 5-0 to the under in their last 5 games after scoring 100 points or more in their previous game. 4-0 to the under in their last 4 games following a straight up win. 4-0 to the under when they're playing off 1 day's rest, and 5-1 to the under in their last 6 games overall. Everything points me towards the under 228. I think this probably could be an under game. I like the under. Haven't placed the bet yet, but do a little bit more digging. I don't just like to support all the trends. I like to go in and find a little bit more as well. So Ben Simmons being back today, that may influence the total as well. But I let's just say I like the under. Haven't placed that bet yet. Let me see what y'all saying in the chat, and I'm gonna keep it going. Hit the like button for me, retweet the show if you guys are watching, man. Good morning, Zachariah. LJ, my guy, what's going on? Let's cash. It's Friday, baby. Let's see. Bissy said can't trust the Nets with such a high number. I'm with you, Bissy. I don't like I said, it'd probably be, like Fabian said, first quarter, maybe first quarter, first half. I want to see the trends to kind of back that. But like I said, I think some of these guys on Atlanta, I don't think Atlanta's just gonna come in this spot and lay down. Like this is gonna be a game that Brooklyn's gonna have to win, because when you give these role players, these guys who don't typically have as much opportunity, they like to seize that and take advantage of it. So I don't think it's a spot where they're just going to lay down. If KD and Kyrie get the cooking, they could absolutely cover this first quarter and first half. Absolutely. No, something said Jalen Green couldn't buy a bucket yesterday. Yeah, the Spurs look good, man. Looked like an NBA team yesterday against the Rockets. The Rockets did not look like an NBA team yesterday. But let's keep going, man. Let's keep going. I'm trying to get a couple more games in here. Let's see. So Kings and the Cavs, very, very interesting game. Really excited about this one. I think it's a difficult game to cap right now because you do have a lot of injury news. So Fox is listed as questionable in this one. Hold on one second. So Fox is listed as questionable. Terrence Davis is also listed as questionable. On the opposite side for the Cavs, Kevin Love is out, and Donovan Mitchell is listed as questionable. So it makes it a really, really difficult game to cap. The Cavs are laying 5.5 for 6 points, total about 225.5. Cavs, I talked about it already. Number one defensive rated team at home. We see the Kings team. They've come back down to life, back down to earth just a tad bit, especially on the road. At home, they're continuing to score. We saw it the other day when they went to Milwaukee. They lost that game against the Bucks. It was pretty close, but defensively, they just struggle. They don't have the greatest defensive team. I know that Coach Mike Brown is preaching defense over there, but sometimes you got to have the ability. You got to have the talent to be able to score. And I mean, to be able to play defense. And, effort is one thing, but having the actual, size and talent to be able to stay in front of guys, to be able to contest shots, sometimes could be more than just being out there on the floor. So, like I said, extremely difficult game to cap without knowing the news on those guys. The Lakers and the 76ers. So the 76ers, real quick on this one, the Lakers are catching 3.5 points on the road, coming off the smackdown in Toronto without AD and Bron, where they rest in that game. So it'll be a third game in 4 nights for the Lakers, but not for AD and Bron because both of them took that game off, and they may have took that game off so they could potentially win this game here. 76ers first game back home. They've had 3 days off since losing in double overtime to the Houston Rockets. Gorgeous Niang is listed as out in this one. Daniel House Jr. is questionable. DeAnthony Milton's off the injury report. And AD and Bron are supposed to return in this one. Let's see. So Sixers 7. I was looking at the under. Sixers 7-3 to the under after a previous ATS loss. Sixers as a home favorite with Embiid in as well. They're 5-1-1 to the under. I think it could be a game where, to me, the 76ers typically play better on the road. I think the trends kind of support that as well. I think also James Harden may struggle, first few games back, right? He shot the ball terribly against the Houston Rockets. It was a revenge game, and it's a perfect team to come back against. I mean, if you can't do it against the Rockets, we saw the Spurs do it against the Rockets last night. So, environment does mean something. I just feel like, James it's probably going to take him, a while to get himself back into a rhythm. I think that the Lakers, have something to prove. I would look towards no homer pick. I would look towards the Lakers probably to be able to cover this 3.5, but I definitely need to break this game down just a tad bit more. Pistons and the Grizzlies. I haven't really broken that game down, but one of the things I will be looking at is the Grizzlies first quarter team total. I know it didn't cash for us the other day, but that doesn't mean that you abandon it, right? Because if it cashes tonight, I'm going to be sick, right? So I know that the Detroit Pistons defense has not been the greatest. They are coming in off the win on Wednesday against Tuesday, I think it was, against the Miami Heat, right? So now you get the Grizzlies at home. Grizzlies typically turn up on Fridays. I've talked about that. We've cashed with them on the Bet US plays, specifically on Fridays. So, Grizzlies laying 10, I don't know. Pistons have been covering when they are double-digit dogs on the road as well. I don't have that trend in front of me, but I know that they've covered, all those games when they went out west. They won a couple of them outright. So I'm not looking to get behind the Grizzlies, laying 10 with them, especially in the game where Steven Adams is listed as questionable, But I do think that the Grizzlies probably cover first quarter, first half. And if you want to stay away from the quarters and the half, the spread in the first quarter, first half, that's why I tend to lean towards the team totals. If you don't think the Grizzlies are going to come out here and play any defense and they're just going to be flying up and down the court, maybe it's an unmotivated spot. They did just beat this team over the weekend by 10 points in Detroit, 122-112. It makes perfect sense, to just kind of lay off the side, get on the team total, right? Detroit shouldn't be able to stop these guys today. So when I handicap the game in detail later, I will be looking towards the Grizzlies first quarter, first half team totals there. The other game I wanted to mention real quick, because we are at the 20-minute mark. I'm not going to cover. I'll touch on the Suns and the Pelicans game later. I'll touch on the Timberwolves and the Jazz game later. Hopefully we get the status of Lauri Markkanen, because that's extremely important. But I do want to touch on this Bucks and the Mavs game before I get out of here. It's 21 minutes in the book so far. Hit the like button for me if you guys are watching. Retweet the show. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Download the podcast. Leave me a positive review. All that good stuff. Doing this every single day, man. Y'all check your boy out and leave me a review. Leave me a comment when you download the podcast. Just search Cashed It with Chris. Search Crispy Capping. It'll pop up. Spotify, Apple Podcast, all that good stuff. But back to this game. All right, so Bucks and the Mavs, extremely interesting spread here, right? Because the Mavs are 1-point dogs at the crib with a total of 223, right? So the Bucks are expected to win a very close game here. If you think the Bucks win, I'm not 100% sure. I think this looks like a Mavs spot to me. So what I got for you guys, I'm gonna break this one down. I'm gonna get out of here. So the Mavs coming back home after a 1-point win against the Denver Nuggets. This team has won 4 of their last 5, covered 4 of their last 5 spreads as well. A big part of it has been their offense. If you're looking at the numbers before that Golden State game, this team, they played Golden State on a Tuesday, and they were 3-point dogs. Well, opened at a pick. And I think they ended up being like 2-point dogs when that game closed. They won the game 116-113. Before that game, this team was averaging 109 points. They were 4-14-1 against the spread and just 9-10 straight up. Since that game, Dallas is averaging 121.6 points per game. They're 4-1 and 4-1 to the over, mainly because of their offense. Over the last 5 games, they have the highest offensive rating in the NBA. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit more. So looking at the trends in this one, also you get the Bucks. They are, coming off a really good win at home against the Sacramento Kings the other day as well. And then before that, they did beat the Orlando Magic in Orlando earlier this week as well. Drew Holiday's kind of come back and found his groove, trying to get Chris Middleton, still integrated, and Giannis is just doing Giannis type things, killing it like he always does. So looking at some trends, though, one of the couple of things I looked at it, I want to share with you guys before I get out of here. So dating back to 2018 season, the Bucks are 0-4 straight up and against the spread when they're coming off a game where they covered the spread, and they're an away favorite in the next game, but it's an extremely short line like the -1 that you see in tonight's game. So 0-4 straight up, 0-4 against the spread. The Mavs are 10-3 straight up at home this season. Another interesting thing to note is that the Mavs are 4-3-1 against the spread. But more importantly, 6-2 straight up this season when they're revenging a same season loss. So the Mavs, they've won their last 4 games when they're revenging a same season loss. Wins against the Golden State Warriors, against the New York Knicks, who smacked them up. They smacked the Knicks up when they went back to the Garden. I think they beat them by 30, 140-110. They beat the Suns the other day, smacked the Suns up, and they got the Nuggets out the way too. So 4 straight covers when they're revenging a same season loss are the Mavs, 6-2 straight up. They have already lost to the Bucks this season. So the numbers kind of point towards the Mavs. Continuing on, the Bucks, they're just 2-7 against the spread in their last 9 meetings in Dallas, 5-15-2 against the spread in their last 22 meetings overall, no matter the site. So as good as the Bucks are, they don't play the Dallas Mavericks well, whether that's in Dallas or it's in Milwaukee. The total in this one, 223. So I got a couple things to support the under, not official or anything with the total, but I got a couple things that support the under more than I can support the over. I do think that the Mavs, hot offense will probably take a tad step back, facing against the Bucks defense. So the Bucks, they do have the league's best defensive rating on the road this season. They're also because they have the best defensive rating on the road. They're 8-1 to the under on the season in away games as well. They're also 4-0 to the under in games where they're coming off a game where they've covered a spread, and they're in a way favorite of a short line like the -1 that I told you guys about. And that trend actually dates back a few years. So when they're coming off those spreads, they typically coming off a game where they've covered, the next game they're an away favorite with a very short line like the one. They typically don't score a lot, and they typically don't allow a lot of points either. So the only thing I got towards the over is that the Mavs, when they're revenging their same season losses, they are 6-2 to the over. So I just talked about them being, being 6-2 straight up when they're revenging the same season loss. They're also 6-2 to the over as well. So I didn't play the total. I do like the Mavs though. I like the Dallas Mavericks tonight. You see Tim Hardaway Jr. just, kind of be able to kind of turn it up to help Luka out. Spencer Dinwiddie, guys like Dorian Finney-Smith, like guys are now starting to hit shots, and it's not just the Luka show. So I like the Mavs tonight, man. I like the Mavs tonight. I haven't placed the bet yet, but that would be my best bet that I would give you guys for the show for sure. So 26 minutes in the books. Like I said, man, download the podcast. Subscribe to the podcast so you guys aren't missing that, especially if you join late. You don't have time to watch the YouTube shows, but you kind of want to plug in. Maybe you're at work, put your headphones in. All of the shows, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, are available on the podcast streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast at. It's more than just those two, but I know those are the big two. So check me out on the podcast. And 5:15 back for the Crispy Cap and NBA show. I'll have a lot more official plays there. Taking a deep dive. We'll probably get more information as well on some of these guys that's listed as questionable or doubtful, or just their injury status. So check me out then. Appreciate you guys for stopping through as always. Like I said, hit the like button for me, retweet the show. Grateful for you guys. 5:15 Eastern time. I will be back always in the show with this. None of this is financial consultation. It's theory, it's logic, it's SDQLs, it's trends, eye tests, all that good stuff. Bet with your head, not over it. Until I see you guys at 5:15 for the Crispy Captain show, man. Be good. I'm out.